I'm Madeleine from Sheen Slings, and this is how to use the Mini Monkey twin carrier to carry 2 babies on your hip. So first thing we're going to do is grab the carrier out of its bag and shake it out. Before I pop it on, I'm just going to show you that at the back here we have this crossover adjustment system, and there is a small amount of sizing adjustment here. So this is how we're going to adjust the carrier, but into here, if we look inside, there's this little adjustment system with 3 channels we can place the carrier in. Now, if you are a larger bodied person, I'd recommend opening this clip and then moving to the last channel, and that will give you a little bit extra space. Or conversely, if you are more petite, I recommend opening this clip and moving onto the channel closest to the shoulder, and that's going to make it a little bit shorter and let you get it a little bit tighter. There aren't a huge amount of differences, and actually as a more average sized body, I can use any of the 3. I do find I have to tighten to almost the tightest if I'm on the last one, but the middle or the top one are totally fine for me. So it's not overly important, but if you are struggling to get it tight enough, or you're struggling to really make it long enough, do move these to, do know that these are there so you can move them and get that little bit more space at either end. So now I've talked about that, we're going to start by popping this carrier on, and literally just going to dive bomb through it, pop my head through, so that this part with the 2 little clips sits on my chest bone, and that bit we were just talking about sits behind me on my back. Great, and now I'm going to get the waistband on, so I'm going to come find it down here, and I'm going to pop this waistband wherever on my body I can get the most purchase. So for me, that's my true waist, and actually quite surprisingly high, and I'm going to get that really nice and tight. The tighter I get that, the more weight's going to get transferred onto my hips. And by having it higher, we get a great purchase on my body, and that puts the weight onto my hips. And I'm making sure that it's sitting parallel to the ground. And there's no, if I push down on it, there's no wiggle room, no space. So as I load my babies in, they aren't going to tip the waistband and therefore tip my back. It is worth taking some time getting that waistband really right and comfortable, because it's your foundation you're then going to build your carry up on. And then I'm going to have a rough size of my pouches. So actually I've got loads of space right now. I'm going to just snug these up a little bit, particularly on this side. Just snug them by pulling them along. Just snug them up that little bit. Just because if I've got too much space, it's going to feel really difficult getting, well, it'll be easy to get baby into the pouch, but then I'll feel really unsafe until I get it tight, and I'll have more wrestling to do. Whereas if I don't give myself too much work to do now, whilst it might be a little bit more of a wiggle to get them in, it'll be easier for me to tighten and easier overall. And then I'm going to think about which side is my dominant side. So for me, my dominant arm is this one, and I find it easiest to put baby onto this hip and load baby into this hip, onto this side. I find this side harder because it's working primarily with my non-dominant arm. It's much easier with this carrier to get the first baby in. So I am going to choose to use my non-dominant arm to get the first baby in, because then it'll be when I'm doing the harder job, I'll have my dominant arm ready to do that. So I'm going to get my first baby, and I'm going to load onto with my non-dominant arm. So I'm going to start by just gently feeding their legs into this pouch, and just popping this leg out of this hole, and gently sliding baby down. And then I'm going to come into here and find this other leg and just gently slide them down. Now, depending on the age, stage and size of your babies, you may need to sort of pull this out to offer more support, or you may need to squish it in. And you'll notice it actually goes down really narrow, so it will fit a very small baby as needed. And you'll notice that actually this attaches to the panel here, and I can, in fact, before I started, drag this further away or closer together, and that's going to control how close my twins are to each other or how far away. So as they get bigger, you may want to widen that gap to bring them more onto your hips, and when they're little, you may want to have that gap narrower. So So I'm just going to get my baby comfortably sat, check that that material is sitting in the back of the knees, and take some time getting them really sat onto their bottom so that their weight, all their weight's leaning into that pouch, and then this material just sits behind the back of their knees. And then I'm going to, as I come work upwards, tuck their arms in, arms and shoulders in. This, if for an older twin who's got a strong neck, this can actually stop at the back of their shoulders. But for a younger twin or a newborn, I want to bring this up. And actually, if it's too long, I can roll it and get more rolls and offer more head support. And I'm looking for that head support to be right in the back of the neck, below the ear, right in the back of the neck. So I'm actually going to do 2 rolls for this size baby, but you might not need to do any, or you might need to do more. And then I'm going to clip that in. Now, because I got these quite tight, I actually don't have loads to do, but you can see that this is a little bit too loose. So the first thing I need to do to make this tight is to find the strap behind me and give it a snug up. Now, as I do that, I will feel it pulling on my shoulder. It's a good idea to get these spread and comfortable before you get it really, really tight. And actually on the first baby, I want it tight enough that they're not drawing away from me, but I may need to retighten a little bit more when I've got the second baby in. I don't want to get really tight because I could just end up pulling this sort of all the way to the other side. So that feels perfect. I feel safe enough to let go. And again, if this doesn't feel tight enough, I can tighten up this strap by pulling it straight back along here. So that baby now feels secure and happy. I'm going to start loading on the other side. Let me do my next baby. So one of the bits that can feel particularly awkward about loading second baby is, depending on your flexibility, you may well need to just shift this baby over and bring them under your arm. And that might feel a little uncomfortable and a little counterintuitive, but it's not going to be for long, only for just long enough to get this baby in, and then we will sort that one back out again. And often parents I work with, they have one baby who's more tolerant than the other, and they choose to ensure that that's the baby they load in first. So let me just catch this one's leg here. So just as I did on the other side, I am checking that we're sitting nicely on the bottom, that the legs are coming out and the material's not passing past the back of the knee. If, like me, you're not quite dead center, take your time to get baby dead center. There we go, perfect. Great, and then to give myself a bit of security, I'm going to bring this across before I tighten, clip that in, and now I can bring this baby back under and make any adjustments before I tighten that I need to. So as I brought that baby under, that pulled my shoulder up, and let me pull this one down. Okay, so this baby actually still feels really good, but this one we've only just got in does not feel tight enough to me. So to tighten up, I'm going to support their weight as best I can and then pull this. So I'm pulling this one diagonally, and it's important to get it's not going to feel like it's going to pull easily unless you get the right angle. So I'm pulling that diagonally. Likewise, if I did need to tighten up this one, I'd then reverse. So support their weight with this hand going around the other baby and then pull. There we go. Great. And now I'm going to check this one. So by pulling that, the part here, by pulling that one, that just adjusts the size of the pocket and where the bum sits. And then it's this strap here that adjusts how tight it is at the top. So now I'm going to tighten that one up by pulling it that way. Great, and I can make sure that's sitting right in the back of baby's neck. And now you can see I feel much more able to let go. Both babies are nice and high and tight, and are nice securely held across the back of the shoulders and into the back of the neck with that nice and snug. Things that frequently happen or feel wrong at this stage is if we've forgotten to spread this out, this could feel like it's creeping up on your neck. If you do need to adjust it, hold the baby opposite that shoulder while you adjust, and lift their weight, and that will allow you to adjust. If baby's feeling like they're slumping, check the position of their hips, check that they're sat nicely on their bottom, on both sides. Also, if they feel like they're slumping under your arm, check the position of their hands. So if their hand is down, they may slump to that side. So bring that little hands up, and that will help keep them upright. Let's do the same on this side. Their little arms up, and then that will help keep them upright. this is a carrier. It's very easy once you get the hang of it, but it is a carrier that can feel quite tricky the first few times you try it. So hopefully this video has helped give you some of the most obvious tips, but if you are struggling, there are some little nuances, so please do get in touch. Please ask all the questions, and or I do offer online consults, so if you are struggling to get the knack, please get in touch and I can meet you online and watch what's going wrong and make suggestions accordingly specifically for you. And as ever, if this has been helpful, please do like, subscribe. And just before I go, I'm going to show you getting out, because that can be a bit tricky too. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to, if I have enough space, I'm actually going to see if I can just get baby out without loosening, because I find the loosening behind really, really difficult. If you don't have space, then we will loosen, but often it's possible to just to be able to wiggle them out. If you do need to loosen, the thing is behind you. You have to sort of see if you can get your hands underneath that lip, like that, and then just sort of flick it away from you. And you might only really get a very small amount of flick, so you might need to do this a couple of times, or it can help once you've got enough space to sort of, with this hand, pull away and this hand flick out, and then you can really loosen it off. But often it's possible to just wiggle them out, and then that gives you less to do next time. I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know in the comments below.